What does a web developer actually do? Well, to answer this, we first need to answer what even is web development? Well, the long story short of it is you build stuff that exists on the web. Well, that's cool and all, but what is the web? Well, the web is pretty wild and it exists on the internet. And this definition here kind of comes from W3 Schools, a great resource for web developers. But it talks about how the internet is a global network of computers and devices, while the web, also referred to as the World Wide Web, is a collection of information that is accessible via the internet. And another way to look at this is the internet is the infrastructure, while the web is served on top of that infrastructure. Or the internet is like this big bookstore, and the web can be viewed as a collection of books in that store. And at a high level, the internet can be thought of as hardware, while the web can be thought of as software. Now, check out this awesome picture of the internet here visualized across the world. So the internet is literally these physical connections all around the world, as you can see here, just connected through like underwater wires and stuff like this. And basically, you have these machines that are all connected and they're all sending these packets to each other of data. And then this allows for an infrastructure of kind of the web to sit on top of and to exist and for us to access the World Wide Web. So it's pretty dang wild. And with that, that's cool and all, but how do you build stuff for the web? Well, currently, there are a few different main technologies for building stuff on the web. One of them is HTML. This is Hypertext Markup Language. It is kind of the structure of a web page. With HTML, you basically tell the browser what different elements you're going to have on the page and what different just pure content you're going to have on that page. And then you can use what's called CSS, cascading style sheets, to style this HTML and make things look a little bit more visually appealing. And you can also add different animations using CSS, and you can even add some content with CSS, but that's kind of some more advanced CSS stuff. But CSS, you can add those styles and some animations as well. And then you also have JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language that allows you to add some interactivity to your web page. So with your HTML, you might say, okay, I'm going to have this button element, and it's just going to say, click me. And then with your CSS, you might style that button to be a blue button. And when you hover over that button, it's going to go to a darker shade of blue to give the user some more of that kind of feedback that you are hovering over that button to enhance your user experience a little bit. And then with JavaScript, you can handle what you want to do when the user clicks on that button, when they interact with that button. So potentially when they click on that button, you want to submit a form to your backend database and save some data there. And you would kind of kick that off with JavaScript to make a request and post that data to that database. Now, with this, you also have various frameworks that allow you to more easily build these applications. And some of these web frameworks are React, Angular, Vue, and there's also like Svelte and different frameworks like that that just provide a structure for writing your applications, and they give you some more things kind of out of the box that you commonly do in web applications that make things a little bit easier. So a web developer, day to day, they're going to use these different technologies to build different applications that exist on the web. And I currently am a professional web developer, have been at it for a handful of years now. And a typical day for me is solving problems using these different applications. I am technically a front-end engineer, so the bread and butter of my day is styling different elements with CSS or adding interactivity with JavaScript. We specifically use React as our front-end framework, so I write a lot of React code, and I basically just solve problems within our application using these technologies to improve our app, improve our user experience, improve our UI designs and different things like that. And then once I solve these problems, I'll do what is called a pull request. And what this kind of means is that I will work on my code or our application on my local machine, just like on my own computer. And then I need a way to like submit that code to our actual code base that is going to go out into development and out into the real world so people can access my changes on the web. And one platform that you use to do that is GitHub. And it's basically this repository of your code that you can push your local changes to this repository. And then you can basically submit this repository to your actual production application. So I'll make the change locally on my computer. I'll push those changes to a kind of a remote repository. And then someone on my team will kind of review those changes to make sure that I didn't mess anything up. And then from there, we will put it into production or go through some other process. Now, to become a web developer, I focused on learning the fundamentals of web development, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then once I had those fundamentals down, I then learned one framework, as most jobs just require knowledge of one framework, and most companies will just use one of these kind of front-end frameworks. And I specifically focused on React.js, as simply when I went to LinkedIn and I searched React.js developer, there was a lot more jobs compared to searching for Angular and Vue developer. I don't know if this is still true today. React still seems to be the most popular, but there's still probably plenty of jobs for the other ones as well. And if you're interested in learning web development and getting into it, that's what I would recommend as well, is I would focus on learning the fundamentals of the web, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then if you learn one front-end framework, you kind of become proficient in them, you can start building your own applications, then I think that you're ready to, actually start working professionally. So that is what a web developer does all day. They manipulate HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and potentially a front-end framework to build applications on the web that people can use throughout their day. So thanks for tuning into this, and I'll see you in that next one.